Feckin' audio. Alrighty, folks, welcome along to another episode of 420 News. Hopefully everybody's doing mighty well out there, guys. It's a lovely day here in Cork. A lovely day if you're a duck and water rolls off your back because it's wet and miserable out there. But hopefully everybody is doing mighty fine out there. Anyway, I know I'm doing quite okay here today. Actually doing mighty great. I don't know if you know what this stuff is, but if anybody out there knows what this stuff is, you're lucky ducky. This is Tanora, some of Cork's greatest, one of Cork's specialities. Yes, freshly opened as well. Oh, lovely. Oh, guys, I'm all about the water and looking after your health and all of that. Like, but in fairness, when there was a bottle of Tanora lying around and I just spotted it, I couldn't resist the opportunity. Lovely. Don't drink fizzy drinks that often, but when I do, it's most likely Tanora. And while we're at it, guys, while we are at it, give a shout out there to the Dublin Cannabis Club. Oh, Cork City, what's going on out there, Cork City? Where's your cups? Huh? Cork City Cannabis Club? What's going on? Dublin Cannabis Club repping. Got gifted this at the Phoenix Park event last year. Got gifted that off of the guys at the Dublin Cannabis Club, along with some jellies as well. Don't know if they came from the same person, but yeah, I was quite happy receiving them anyway. Let's say the cup lasted longer than the jellies anyway, thankfully. Right, let's get cracking with today's headlines, shall we? The first headline I have for you today, guys, is it's one from our very own. Yes, it's coming out of R420 Supplies. R420 Supplies, they celebrated their first year open yesterday. So I'm going to pop their Instagram up on screen there now. Fingers crossed, don't lose the audio. Boom. Yes, we're still good. So here we go. R420 Supplies. God damn it. Why didn't that open? There we go. Jeez. That really messed me up there. But R420 Supplies, here's their Instagram page. And R420 Supplies, I was up there yesterday. They're located above in Port Arlington in County Laois here in Ireland. And they opened their doors on the 17th of May 2021, right in the heart of the pandemic. So fair play to them for opening up at such a risky time to be opening up a business. But despite the virus and all that was going on, R420 Supplies has, they've really tried, they've really excelled, and they're doing very well for themselves. It's a great business. It seems like they've got a nice community of customers around their business as well. And yeah, it's great to be a part of that journey and to be there with them throughout that year and supporting them along the way as well. And I have to say, a big thanks to R420 Supplies, as R420 Supplies still to this day have been the only official sponsor of Martin's World. R420 Supplies, we've been the only company who've ever reached out to the podcast. I've not reached out to any other companies myself, but R420 Supplies last year, before he opened his business, got in touch. He liked the podcast, he liked what I was doing, and he liked the community around the show as well, more importantly. And he asked if he could be a sponsor of the show, which I obliged. I was more than happy to allow him to be a sponsor of a show. And we advertised the opening of the business. I kept on saying that I'd get up there, I'd get up there, I'd get up there. And yesterday, for the first time in over a year, I actually finally got up to the store. What an amazing store it was, in fairness. I don't know if I can. I really hope this won't knock my camera off if I do this. I really want to show you the photos that we got from up there yesterday. But I'm afraid if I open the Oki to get the photos off the camera, I'm going to lose it. So I'm not even going to risk it. But this photo here, this was kind of like the photo I wanted to show you, except it was a lot foggier. And this is a post that R420 put up there yesterday, showing a picture of inside in the store. And also it was a post announcing that they were celebrating their first anniversary of the shop. Kev from R420 Supplies put this up yesterday, saying, today is the first anniversary of the shop. This day last year, I opened the doors with whatever stock I could afford. It's been a crazy 12 months with lots of lessons learned. I'm very grateful to everyone that supported me this past year. This is just the beginning. I have lots more planned over the New Year's, or over the next few years there, I'd imagine that is. So yes, excellent stuff. Great to hear that there's more planned down the road for R420 Supplies. And I suppose, with everything that's going on in Ireland, I think, that they're really lined up. They're positioned quite well, I suppose, to pivot if certain changes to the laws are to be made here in Ireland. Not that they'd even need to pivot, in fairness. If there were certain laws changed here in Ireland, I'd imagine this business would do mighty fine, just as it is. So yes, that's the news coming out of R420 Supplies. So well done there, guys. Congratulations on that 1 year anniversary. Let's get an applause. Woo! Not only an applause. I think that story deserves a bong hit, don't you? I see R420 out there in the audience as well. Says there's still a fog lingering. Lovely. In fairness, I walked into the shop there yesterday and I was like, geez, you have the incense burning. And he's like, yeah, the incense, all right. Little did I know that a couple of the members of the Cannabis Activist Alliance were out the back with a fog machine. Might as well have had a fog machine with what was being generated out of that room. Right. I don't like to do this often. I don't really like to do hash bowls on the podcast, but somebody was kind enough to send me some hash there last week, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to put a couple of little flakes of hash here into this bowl as well to celebrate one more time the anniversary of R420 Supplies. And let's hope this time next year, next year when we're celebrating the second anniversary of R420 Supplies, we'll be doing so in an environment where R420 Supplies will be legally able to sell high THC varieties of cannabis. Now, wouldn't that be an achievement? Let's hope. I can dream, and by God, do I dream. Right, we have a nice, lovely, well-packed bowl here for a little celebration, a little civil disobedience, and a celebration for R420 Supplies. So here we go. And aptly, a nice lighter there as well. Go on, focus. Welcome to the hot box, Mr. Greenbeard. Really nice to see yourself there yesterday, GB. I was thinking about it afterwards, GB. I don't think I got to try that Bubba's Wrecked Hole after all. Plenty of others been tried. Plenty of other flavors being tried up there yesterday, but I don't think I was lucky enough to get Bubba's Wrecked Hole past my way. Right. Mr. Isa O'Connell, what's happening out there? Pleasure to see yourself as well yesterday. Says, thanks for having us, Hunt. Was a great day, and that's going to R420 Supplies. It was an epic old evening. Even Mr. Finnegan made it and all, Mr. Finnegan, and he managed to get home and all without getting lost. Although it wasn't too difficult, he only had to make it to Amy's car. But yes, myself, Mr. Finnegan, Greenbeard, Teresa, Amy Brown, Endo with Amy, that is, Scatanist as well. Am I forgetting anybody? I think that was it. I think that was the party up there, and R420 Supplies, Mr. Kev himself. But yeah, it was an epic old evening, it was. Jog OG, what's happening? Says, how's it going, lads? And Martin, doing mighty fine. Just blazed up a bowl, so doing extra fine. If the stinks, yeah, Scatanist asking her if the stink is still around. Yeah, I'd imagine the store is probably going to be smelling quite fine for a few more days. Despite best efforts there by Kev with the incense. I think in fairness, like in a store like that, when you burn incense, that it's quite obvious what you're trying to hide. I used to work in a grow shop, and that was the thing as well, you know. Somebody would come in and the incense was burning, and then you'd get the, oh yeah, you had your lunch break. You know what the story is like. Mr. Fingerin, yes, I passed those actually as well, the 3 fire engines. And yeah, I was kind of laughing at myself if I could have gotten a photo and sent it to you and just been kind of like, oh yeah, the fire brigade were a bit delayed there, but they're on the way. Because we were jokingly saying as we left R420 Supplies there yesterday that we were surprised that nobody didn't call the fire brigade, you know, because the store was quite fogged out. Oh yes, Ashton. I almost forgot about Ashton. Another one of the Cannabis Activist Alliance members. Ashton had to head off there early. He's Scatness there, saying that he missed a couple of us because they left a bit early. Just Ash that left early? I think it might have been. Apologies if I'm forgetting anybody else who was there. Temple Grower, what's happening? TG, all the way over there in Canada, dude. Hopefully the weather's better over there than it is here. Rain is lashing off the window as we speak. Nice, I hope that skunk number 1 is treating you nice as well. Hopefully there's going to be an old consignment of seed sent over there to the Greenbeard, and Greenbeard will be kind enough to distribute them. But yes, I look forward to getting to sample some of that skunk number 1, whether it be grown by yourself or somebody else here. It's been a while since we actually got to mess around with a skunk variety. What's happening, Chilbert? John saying those muffin things were dangerous. Yes, 12 of them there to celebrate the every month that R420 Supplies was open. Jogoji asking where is R420 Supplies. They're in County Laois in Port Arlington. Nice, TG. Forgive me there for the noise in the background, just a kettle after being flicked on. Right, we drive on with the headlines then, as I think we've greeted everybody in the hot box. We drive on and we go to another store in Ireland for another bit of news here today. But it's a different piece of news. It's not celebrating an anniversary of a store, but it's celebrating a partial victory, I suppose, of a store here. And I've popped up on screen that store that I'm talking about. That's Relief. Relief is based in Dungarvan and also Clonmel. And again, Relief is a big supporter of the Cannabis Activist Alliance here in Ireland and a supporter of the campaign to end the prohibition of cannabis also. But their victory is coming out of the courts as a judge has taken their side and has ordered a stay on their prosecution following them being charged with the possession of cannabis. So basically what that means is the Irish government, now the state, the onus is on them to prove that the products which the Relief were in possession of, which is the hemp variety of cannabis, these low THC varieties of cannabis. So the Irish state now has to show that these low THC, high CBD varieties of cannabis pose a risk to the health of the consumer, which is quite a monumental task for the Irish state to take on. It's one which the French state was unsuccessful at taking on in the Canna Vape case over there. That was the ruling that came out of the European courts when the French government unsuccessfully challenged, that CBD from a full plant cannabis extract was deemed as a narcotic and to be treated as such. Well, they lost that battle, and it seems quite likely that very soon the Irish state will also lose that battle, paving the way then for a CBD industry here in Ireland, but not just a CBD industry, but a CBD flower industry. Because up until now, and still now, I suppose, until this case gets to its conclusion, Irish farmers have not been able to work with the flower from the plant. As a requirement of Irish law, Irish farmers growing the hemp plant are only able to, much like the Spanish farmers in the story that we covered there about 2 weeks ago, that massive cannabis farm over in Spain. That's the same story there. They were only allowed work with the fiber and the seed of the plant. And because the Spanish government got wind that that farm was going to be working with the flower, they were exporting it to Italy to get the CBD extracted from the flower. They went and raided all the flowers from the plant or from that farm. But that's what's going on here in Ireland. The industry is being picked on by the authorities, and the authorities have kind of got things mixed up. They don't really know what's legal and what's not legal. So effectively, these flowers under European law are legal because they meet the criteria to be regarded as a hemp. And hemp is a food product. Hemp seeds as a food product. The flower, the cannabinoids, these are all supplementary type products, food supplement type products. And it seems likely, that Relief is going to be victorious in their case. And the Irish state will have to allow for this industry to continue to grow. So what that will mean is going to be a nightmare for the guards, because let's say I've got a bud here, and this flower is a cannabis flower, but is it a high THC flower or is it a CBD flower? And to be very honest, I'm actually waiting on a text back from the person who gave it to me. Kev, what's happening? Is that CBD or was that THC? Don't answer if you don't want to, actually, seeing as I outed you there for giving it to me. But I can't tell if it's CBD or THC. I've had a smoke off of this, and even after having a smoke off of this, I'm just kind of like, geez, this kind of tastes quite nice. It's like, I don't know, am I still high from last night or what? But it's hard to define. So if I'm having a problem telling the difference, how is a guard going to tell the difference? So that's going to create a nightmare for them on the street. But for us consumers, it's going to open up a whole industry, a whole potential industry there for catering to consumers of these type products. Because consumers of these products up until now have had nowhere to go. You've had maybe Little Collins in Galway, but if if we had more places like Little Collins in Galway, all around the country where people could come and consume their cannabis products, there's a potential there that, musicians, comedians, whatever the case may be, entertainers, they're going to be able to cater to that community now, because that community is going to have places where they can go and socialize around, because the consumption of products that they like is going to be accepted and tolerated, and the other state are going to not be able to do anything about it. So cannabis social clubs, that's what's coming down the line very, very soon. If it's just going to be for CBD, but as I said, how is that even going to be policed? So well done to Relief, and also give a shout out there to the journalist Catherine Sands. She put up a post there on the businesspost.ie covering the case of Relief, and highlighting there, that the business has secured a stay under prosecution for the possession of cannabis products with trace amounts of THC. So again, just indicating the cannabis flowers there. And should this be successful again, it's really going to shake things up here in Ireland, because it's going to it's opening Pandora's box for the authorities. It's once it's open, they're not going to be able to close it again. So we drive on from there, and we go to the next headline that we have lined up. And I suppose, yes, while we're celebrating, we've got two very positive news stories there we're starting off with, and there's cause for celebration around both of them. A store being open a year, excellent stuff. Happy days. A store catering to the cannabis industry, again reinforcing the need to kind of stop the prohibition of this cannabis plant and the discrimination of these consumers. Because, if a store can stay open for that long, goes to show how many consumers are out there just buying things like skins, bongs, and even hoodies, and all of those other really cool stuff that you can get from r420.ie. But, and also, the news there from Relief, another positive news story where possibly the law is going to have to be rewritten around cannabis in Ireland. But we go to a less positive story, and it's one, just to re-emphasize the struggle that is the struggle and the pressure put on patients, who have had to campaign for access to cannabis. And this is just a news story coming in from a campaigner who's had to take a step back, and it's our very own Jen Devlin. Jen Devlin, who I've had the absolute pleasure of having on the podcast in the past. She's a fibromyalgia sufferer, and she's also a patient who uses cannabis and has benefited illegally from the use of cannabis. Check out the interview that I did with Jen Devlin a number of months ago, and in that interview she taught me all about how cannabis benefited her, how she gets access to it and stuff like that, and even how the cops came and put pressure on her for going out and protesting on it. But Jen's making the news today, as just a reminder that us healthy cannabis consumers out there, and I say us healthy, I've got epilepsy now, but still I can get out there and whatever. But for Jen, it's really taking a toll on her health, and because of that, she's having to take a step back from her role in being a cannabis activist, a cannabis patient activist. So Jen's having to take a step back from cannabis activism as it's kind of the doctor's orders, really. I won't really go into too much detail, but she got a diagnosis from her doctor there recently, and the doctor's been like, you really kind of got to take a handy. So as part of that taking a handy, Jen's having to take a step back from her part in cannabis activism. She's still going to fly the flag for the Fibro Warriors, which is great. But it really goes to show, how much pressure there is on patients who have to go out there and fight for access. I just have to say, as a person, I only got diagnosed with epilepsy in November. So up until then, I kind of always seen myself as an able-bodied, as Helix said it there, an able-bodied cannabis consumer. I wasn't really using cannabis for its any severe medical conditions. I would always say that I benefited therapeutically for it. But for that reason, I always said that we should have always fought extra hard to end cannabis prohibition for recreational users, which I would have always labeled myself, or a therapeutic user, but a non-medicinal user. that we should have been fighting extra hard for the patients, you know, because the vibe I got from some consumers out there is, sure, let the patients do the fighting, and when they get the battle, it'll make it easier for us then to get the recreational. And I always felt, man, shame on you people, like for thinking that way and for being that way. It's just like, how could you leave leave the heavy lifting the patients? Like, and that's what I've seen many people do. I've seen many people just sit back and just like, medical cannabis will come, and sure, if medical cannabis will come, I'll go to my doctor with my back pain and I'll get access that way. Just like, man, that's kind of sick. Like, so again, this is just a reminder, guys, to us able-bodied, you know, that's what I would say, able-bodied. While I've epilepsy, I'm still quite able-bodied. Although I do have to take it easy, I can't be stressing myself too much. But and existing in this world of prohibition is stress in itself. Like, so partaking in activism, it's not really adding too much more to that fucking stress that I'm already living with, you know. But you know, Jen's story there is just a reminder that us able-bodied people really need to be picking up the torch and getting out there, being a lot more vocal, a lot more active, to end cannabis prohibition, to open up the market for adult consumers. And that way, in that way, we also open up the door for patients, because the stigma will go away. Because for a lot of the time, there's been a stigma there, you know, the Trojan horse argument, you know, that medical cannabis is a Trojan horse. In a way, it kind of is when you have people who kind of sit back on their ass and do nothing and wait for the patients to win the battle. Then there is a kind of a Trojan horse for those lazy bees. Just censored myself there before I get a bit too expletive on that one. Like, because you kind of know what I'm saying on this one, you know. Jen is just one. Kenny was another. Kenny was at the cannabis, the 420 event there above in Dublin when Gino Kenny was speaking, and Kenny Tynan was supposed to be speaking at that event as well. Kenny Tynan's another patient, and Kenny Tynan, much more like myself, suffers with seizures. I don't think he has epilepsy. I think he just suffers with seizures because of a brain tumor, I believe. But Kenny was, and it's happened in the past as well, where he's had to sit down while giving talks and stuff like that as a patient advocate, as a patient advocating for cannabis access, because it's quite stressful for him. And above in Dublin, he had to skip over the opportunity to speak, and I spoke on his behalf, and hopefully I done him proud in my contribution that I made in the day. But Kenny was unable to partake that day because it was just too much for him to be taking on himself. It was just too stressful. You know, public speaking, it's a stressful thing to do. Me being on here right now, to be very honest, like, I enjoy it and everything, like, but geez, before I hit that live button, it's always kind of like, shit, here we go. You know, it's not really an easy thing to be doing, to be putting yourself out there like that. So again, you know, us able-bodied people really need to be doing fucking more to be just ending cannabis prohibition, and in that way, it's just enabling much better access then to the patients. Because, you know, if you're able to walk into a shop and get it, then why would you go to your doctor and say, well, look, I need to get access to cannabis because for whatever condition there is, you know, because you just get it in the store. But if you're going to your doctor, it's because you want to work with a professional in that manner, you know. Sorry, guys, I'm probably ranting on a bit too much there, but again, Jen, hopefully you don't mind me sharing your story as part of the 420 news today, but I just thought it was an important one, and Kenny's too. To remind people, you know, that the abled ones out there, you know, we need to be doing fucking more to be ending cannabis prohibition, because if we can win that battle, then we're going to win it for the patients also, because the biggest barrier there for patients is the existence of the prohibition around the recreational use of, you know. It's bad. If only a fraction of us consumers in Ireland actually got out and fought for cannabis legalization, we would have had it 1 year ago. Like, that is the sad reality of it. There's so many of us out there who consume cannabis who don't lift a finger for many reasons. And I'll go over to Relief actually, because Relief, was it Relief? Yes, Relief. They shared this email. Relief and Dungarvan shared this email up in their Instagram. Hopefully you can read this there. Says, hi, I just wanted to write to you to say good luck on the court case, or if it happened already, then I hope it turned out well. Says also your product is really good since it has helped me use use this legal alternative as a crutch from abusing illegal substances. It really has made everything easier. I wish we could all live in a society where we could smoke freely without stigma and just being judged by people. I want to say a final thank you before I end this, and hope you have a great day. It's a good day. Also, I'm only 25, so it would be hard for me to promote your stuff, or I would imagine most customers to be older or elderly, since there's great properties for pain, sleep, etc. I hope you're having a great time running your business, and all only the best for you. So again, this individual here, they're saying that they would love to promote the business, but they would find it hard to do so. That's kind of why I'm reading that one out. Like, it's a pity that they would find it hard to promote the business because of fear of being judged, fear of the stigma, fear of what people would say or think about you, for promoting the use of CBD as a health aid, for whatever it might be. It mentions a couple of things here: pain, sleep, and yeah, it's definitely beneficial for those. Relief added this up there. It says, I'm so grateful to receive emails like this. It makes our current fight in the courts so worthwhile. It's a pity, though, that people feel like this and will be judged for using CBD products. This is another reason why we are passionate about fighting and ending the stigma on the cannabis industry. No one should be made feel like this for wanting to feel better in themselves without using pharmaceutical products, for wanting to using natural products. So true. And I kind of can definitely add to that one there, and saying, like, as a patient, I've been forced to take pharmaceuticals over what could have been a much safer natural alternative treatment for my epilepsy. But sadly, because of the restrictive way in which we allow access to cannabis here in Ireland, I have to trial these medications. And I'll just go on that one, while I'm on that subject. I suppose I'll get a bit personal on that. And I've been going through some fucking rough shit over the last couple of weeks. And Kenny Tynan as well, he shared with me that he had experienced something very similar from this particular drug. This drug, and also Teresa is out there in the audience too somewhere. She was saying that her partner tried this drug too and experienced the same thing as well. But the drug is known as Keppra, and it's used as an anti-epileptic drug. It's also used as a mood stabilizing drug. And that's exactly what it's not doing for me. It's destabilizing my mood. I've been on a roller coaster of a ride over the last couple of weeks on this drug. It's crazy. Been having thoughts, and then thoughts following that thought, being like, was that me thinking that? Like, because that doesn't seem like my way of thinking. Like, it's really corrupted my mind in a way. Having like anger flashes coming over me. Can feel literally like feel the temperature rising in my body as the anger just builds. The frustration, the tension, whatever it is that's building up inside me, it generates a heat. Like, I've had to get up and walk out of the house a couple of times. Just couldn't be around people. Just didn't want, like, whoever it was, didn't matter who it was, and whatever they were doing. I would just have to get away from them because I would be likely to explode. It's crazy. It's mad. And meanwhile, cannabis, a potential alternative to this Keppra drug that could be worked with if the health professionals here weren't so freaking ignorant. So that's what I'm being put through at the moment here as an epilepsy patient in Ireland. They won't provide me safe access to cannabis to be used as a therapy to treat my seizures, but they will give me these mood destabilizing drugs, that are anti-epileptic drugs also. Sick situation, like, it really is. Down Phantom out there in the audience, what's happening, Mr. Phantom? Dahi Goleen out there as well. It's a war, and it's a war of attrition dealing with these ignorant fuckers. It really is. It really is. Green Tea is in the audience as well. What's happening, Miss Green Tea? And Mr. Kavanagh out there, Casa de Strugas out in the audience as well. What's happening, Casa and Stefan Kavanagh? Get well soon, Jen, and glad to see you back, Martin. Nice one, Steve. And yes, I'm sure Jen appreciates that there as well. Casa de Strugas says everyone needs a break from this now and then. Health and happiness, Jen. There you go. You know, lots of people understanding as well. You know that Casa de Strugas been a long time campaigner, so he certainly knows the toll that this can take in your health, you know, dealing with, as just said there, the ignorance, you know, that is within the government, you know, just blatant ignorance. You know, people like Frank Fien talking about the prohibition of cannabis like as a health-led approach to the drugs, like feck it is, like. Helix Jesus, us. Oh yeah, Jesus. I get that. Yeah, I get that. He looks Jesus. Ever heard of shall issue when it comes to guns? Any adult should have the right to use, possess, distribute by at least gifting cannabis and be about to grow. Yeah. No, that's so fucking true. Like, you know, it's like, what? Imagine if you weren't allowed grow tomatoes and give them to your neighbor. You're only allowed grow tomatoes, but if you grow them, you can only use them yourself. You can't give them to your neighbors. You have to grow their own. It's like, what? Oh, so stupid. Flicking through some of the chats there from earlier as well. John Phantom saying federal law doesn't say states have to make it legal. As a matter of fact, federal law allows states to keep it illegal. Go back and read what I posted. Other boys debating about hemp and all of that over in the States. He looks Jesus and thing. Phantom. Daglon, what's happening, Daglon? Welcome to the hot box, brother. Says, what's up, Martin? Hope you're keeping well, brother. I'm doing much better now these days, thankfully. So, yes, long may that continue. He's saying here, the stigma will always be there, whether it's legalized or not. Pure ignorance. Fuck that noise. Yeah, the stigma will always be there, but the intensity of the stigma will certainly decrease. You know, you're always going to have a stigma, you know, but imagine being a gay person at a time when it was illegal to be gay, when you had buggery and stuff like that, and your neighbors could report you if, you know, if they had that stigma towards you, versus now, and, you know, it's probably some of the, you know, the more extremist freaking religious nuts who've got like real strong views there, and, you know, that man must not lie with another man. You know, but those people get seen for what they are, really, like, you know. Whereas before, you almost had to portray that you supported this kind of a thing, like that. Yeah, man shouldn't lie about another man, you know, because you didn't want to be seen to be different. Whereas, like, in the not too distant future, when cannabis is no longer prohibited, then so many more people are going to be, you know, just kind of like the way they are with drink, you know. People are so blasé about people going drinking, you know. If a person goes to drink, you know, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, nobody bats an eye once they show up for work on Monday to Friday. And they're holding down their job, they're doing everything else, and happy fucking days. They like their pints on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sure. They're entitled to it. They worked hard Monday to Friday, like, so let them have their pints. Would the same not be said for cannabis? So yeah, I definitely think the stigma, there will be people still stigmatic towards cannabis consumers, but I definitely think it won't be the same. And I definitely think there'll be a big changing in the views of people's perceptions of who consumes cannabis. You know, whereas currently there's a perception that only a certain type of person consumes cannabis, you know, bearded, long haired, rasta clothed kind of person. Whereas, you know, that's not the case. Like, I've been in the city here sometimes, and I've had women, you know, in their 30s and 40s coming up to me in suits and just be like, oh yeah, you're married. No, I love what you do in the show. It's like, I can't follow what you're doing, but I really like your message. And I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I would have never thought that person consumed cannabis, you know, fucking short briefcase, like, you know, but like, we really well done up. And same with dudes and stuff like that. I had people like in their 50s, 60s come over to me and being like, yeah, no, I really support what you're doing and stuff. Keep it up. Don't smoke cannabis myself, but I really like what you're doing. Well done. I'm like, whoa, it's really nice to see that support there, like, you know. Christy O'Neill says, hope you're keeping well, Martin. Don't get to hear you much, but tune in when I can. Nice one, Christy. Yeah, it's I do tend to waffle on a little bit on these 420 news, and some of the shows do tend to go on longer than intended. But yeah, that's kind of live shows for you. Nice one for tuning in anyway, Christy. And yeah, man, catch what you can when you can. And I don't, don't expect people to watch everything. Put out quite a bit of content there at sometimes. Last week's 420 news, I think we almost got 3 hours or something. Let's hope we don't do the same today. or do you want to go there? A few people in the hot box saying, no, Martin, we want you to stay on for 3 hours. Go for it, kid. Right, let's drive on to the next headline then that we have for you today. It's coming from Spain, and it's again another past guest of the show. It's Mr. Albertillo. I'll just pop it up on screen there now for you guys. Might zoom in a little bit on this. There we go. You should be able to read that a bit better there in the out there. But I'm going to read it anyway. So this is a post from Albertillo, which was put up there 8 hours ago up on his Facebook page. And it says, today we are 1.5 years in prison for their part of the board of an association with the collective self-cultivation for private self-consumption, exclusive for partners for adult and medical use, complying with codes of good practice, avoiding Abbas weaving in the black market. So again, guys, pardon the broken English and stuff here. This is the translation from Facebook. So this is obviously not what was intended to be written. I think not avoiding Abbas weaving. I'd imagine avoid dealing with the black market. Says we believe we are Turkish heads again. Turkish heads. Curb an unstoppable movement. We are the turkey's head, maybe. I don't know. The Curb an Unstoppable movement, a globally recognized association model and exported to the other countries that adopted into their regulatory process. We continue to believe in him, like so many people who continue to risk their freedom every day. We will continue to work for the legalization of all uses of this healing plant without encouragement to promote its consumption, but to defend our rights and freedoms to provide society all the benefits that would entail economic and socially via green light cannabis party representation. We want to help reconcile that process beneficial to all of society with the release of all people caught by cannabis without violence, so that they can rebuild their lives and contribute to society and enact a social justice as they have made last prisoner project in the USA. We explain our experience and reflections in the book Green Light to Freedom, just published by Cali Terpenes SL, with a prologue from Montana Colors and sponsored by Felipe Ibanez Fracam, Stevie D'Angelo, and the purchase of which you collaborate with this global and fair fight. You can purchase it at, and it gives an address here over on Albertillo's Facebook post, and it says, feel free to ask us if you want us to present it at your association or any venue. We will gladly do so whenever we are able and our circumstances allow. Thanks for the support. Infinite love. So again, this is a book that's been written by Albertillo and a couple of the other members of the association. The association that Albertillo was a part of was known as ERAM, which is Maria backwards, but also it's made up there of collective self-cultivation for private consumption. That translated into Spanish comes up with the acronym ERAM. So Albertillo is 45 days in prison now today. So while many people travel over to Spain and enjoy cannabis almost as if it's legal over there, unfortunately, people like Albertillo and his buddy here alongside him, Victor Siguez, they're currently in prison for 1.5 years now for their part in the social club. And I do believe they were one of the better social clubs. Check out my interview with Albertillo, and we do go into a bit of detail about the industry or the environment over there, I suppose, because there was a couple of different association kind of models over there. One model was where they were growing the cannabis for the consumers, and it was kind of a closed loop model. There was another model where they were working with the black market. Albertillo's was the former. It wasn't the latter. They were growing their own cannabis. They were. Oops, I'll get that off the screen there now. um, but yeah, they were growing their own cannabis, so they weren't working with the black market. So they were the better of the two models, in my opinion, anyway. Because that there was definitely a bit more responsibility there. Because again, if you're buying off the black market, over in Spain, there was stories there not too long ago of Chinese slaves being held within houses, growing cannabis, being held captive. That they were being trafficked over there into Spain, no passports and all of this kind of stuff. Like modern day slaves. So working with the black market in my eyes is a big no-no. So I think the best way to avoid that, and until it's regulated, is just grow your own cannabis for the members, and that's what Iran were doing. So let's remember that, guys. If when you're going over to Spain next, when you're over there in the clubs enjoying ourselves and enjoying cannabis, it's just to remember that there's people like Albertillo and Victor Seguez. They're currently stuck behind bars. I believe Albert's in like an open prison, which isn't as bad, but it's still bad. Albert's got a young family as well. He's got a number of kids, a couple of daughters and a son, I believe. And they're without their dad for majority of the week. And that's horrible, and when he does come back, who's actually coming back? He's just after being in prison for the fucking week. Like, what's that doing, Shelley? What's that doing? This can't be good. Can't be good at all. So yes, Libre, Albertillo, Libre, Victor Seguez, so free the boys, let them out. They're not criminals, they should not be treated as such. So that's some news coming out of Spain. So just a reminder, I suppose, to people, that cannabis, while a lot of people see it as being legal in Spain, it's not. There's people still suffering over there, and make sure to support them. One way in which you can support them, and I don't really like doing these petition things and all of that, but this was set up by Albertillo himself. This is a petition over on change.org. I signed it there earlier today myself, again. Signed it in the past as well. But if you can get over there and give it an old signature, as much as it might mean, just if you're willing to support, given any little bit of support, well, this is the least that you could be doing there. It's set up there, it says, by Albert Uncle, started this petition. So Albertillo. Oh, that Tanora is savage. This is translated here as well, actually, with Google, so but yeah, get over there and read that as well. It's quite a lengthy little write up there. I'm not going to read all of that out there. But it's over on change.org, and if you want to find it, you'll find it over on Twitter. I retweeted it. I'll post it up on Facebook as well if you're not on Twitter later on. But trying to get over and add your name to it. We drive on then. The next headline I have for you then is going back to the UK. Well, not really to the UK, it's kind of to the UK. But before we go there, Scatna says, bless Albertillo and free the legends. Yes, definitely, 100%. Truth, Justice and Honor says, can't we make our own fuel from it? Daggy Golden says, the law is an ass. Yes, I believe that's a bit of a reference there maybe to Luke Ming Flanagan's recent contribution there within the European Parliament, which we'll get to there a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, I believe that's where that's coming from. Casa de Strugas there as well, saying, great interview on Martin's World with Albertillo from last year. Be sure to watch after today's show to learn more. And I really enjoyed that conversation with Albertillo. I was really worried before having a chat with him that there was going to be a bit of a language barrier. But no, in fairness to Albert, I don't think that there was too much of an impeding on the conversation at all. He was able to understand my thick Cork accent, although I did maybe slow it down and try to talk a bit more clearer to him on the day. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out anyway if you haven't seen it already, guys. It's up on YouTube, and it's an audio format on all of those great places you get podcasts. Right, let's drive on. As I said, we go to the UK, but not really. But it's the UK's London's Lord Mayor, Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan has travelled over to the US, where he's got to experience firsthand the legalization of cannabis, and he's already been very open-minded in the past about the idea of decriminalization of cannabis, and the legalization of cannabis. So fair play to him for taking the journey over there to the US, and for being being vocal there on the failings of drug policy and being open to different approaches. This is an article that was up there on the Independent, and it's following his visit over there. He's after appointing a czar to examine legalizing cannabis to a new commission, which is going to be made up of independent experts in the field of criminal justice, public health, and politics, who will examine the effectiveness of UK's laws around Class B drugs and the potential for reducing harms among users. The University College London are going to be involved in this study, and they're going to study the impacts of or they're going to study the impacts of this in health, criminal justice, and the economic impacts also that any change in policy could have. And this announcement was made during the visit to Los Angeles and California by the London Lord Mayor, Sadiq Khan. So if you want to read all of this article, do definitely head on over there to the Independent. Enfield Independent is where this one is. It's written by Joe Talora. It's a pretty good article in fairness, but there has been a number of articles covering this, but there's been a number of responses as well to this. I'm going to pop up on screen there now. Hopefully this is big enough for y'all to read. But this is Priti Patel. She snapped back at the London's Lord Mayor and his kind of his comments towards the idea of legalizing cannabis. She's saying Sadiq Khan time would be better spent focusing on knife and drug crime in London. She says the mayor has no powers to legalize drugs. They ruin communities, tear apart families, and destroy lives. Well, it's funny when she comes out and hits out like that, but when she says that, like, that drugs ruin communities, they tear apart families, and destroy lives. Well, guess what else does that? Prohibition. Prohibition does all these things, because guess what Prohibition does? Prohibition creates organized crime gangs, powerful organized crime gangs, who then infiltrate communities, who take advantage of vulnerable people within those communities. People who are vulnerable to addiction. People who've been preyed upon maybe by family members, by authorities out there. People who are just financially suffering. And because of that, their vulnerability financially leads them to be more vulnerable to addiction then. And they get preyed upon them because of the organized crime groups being in control of the drugs because of drug prohibition. It's funny. And then those people who are addicted to drugs, they get caught with drugs. And guess what happens? They get put in prison. And guess what? Some of those people to be dads, like myself. I'm a dad. I'm a dad now of three kids, and I've got a number of court cases coming up. So my cannabis use has not torn me away from my family. No, it's the prohibition of cannabis is possibly going to tear me away from my family. And in actual fact, like in reality, it's the cannabis was going to be keeping me with my family longer, because if cannabis is being beneficial for my epilepsy, then with the grace of God, it'll help me live a bit longer and keep me with them a bit longer. So, Priti Patel, I'm sorry, lady, but fuck you, like, seriously, like, the prohibition that you're supporting is what's ruining communities. It's what's tearing families apart, and it's what's destroying lives. Needlessly, young people dying because of contaminated drug supplies. Young kids as young as 14 getting access to adulterated supplies of drugs. Shout out to Anne-Marie Cockburn and Anyone's Child, an amazing organization set up by an even more amazing woman. That woman lost her daughter, Martha, I believe was her name. And Martha, at the age of 14, tried some MDMA, and this MDMA turned out to be extremely pure. And because of that, she took too much, and later died, as a result of it. But had that MDMA come from maybe a regulated source, then the same danger might not have existed. And as Anne-Marie Cockburn puts it, she believes her daughter to have been smart enough to have educated herself as to, consumption of these things, and she would have taken the right precautions and not gone to, if she went drinking, is kind of what she was saying, she would have known not to be down in a load of vodka and to maybe, sip away and go easy. But when it comes to MDMA, sure, you've no idea as to the strength of what it is that you're taking. And you go out and you take a little bit this time, and you go out the next time, and it's twice as pure as what it was the last time. And next, you're taking 4 times as much as what you normally would. Next, you're ODing, and you're wondering why. So again, shout out to Anyone's Child, an amazing organization, and run by some amazing people. Priti Patel, sorry lady, but jeez, man, come on, like get with the times. Like, what you're arguing for? Can you not see it? Like, surely these people like see it. Like, surely they do. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, it's just surely like they just can't be so fucking ignorant, can they? There's been some others who hit out as well, and it's kind of funny. It's another person who hit out was this guy. I'll pop him up on screen there now. Some guy, Kithouse. Boom, there he is. Kit Malthouse. He's a policing minister in the UK, and he says it says there that he tells Sadiq Khan to end his baffling support for legalizing cannabis and to focus on tackling knife crime and violence in London instead. But like, Priti Patel said the same thing. But like, in fairness, if you end the prohibition of cannabis, if you end the wasting of police time on things like such a petty issue like the possession of cannabis, the selling of cannabis even, then do you not free up police time then to be more focused on knife crime? Like, Kit Malthouse, Priti Patel, come on guys, as I said, like, can you really be that ignorant, like? Are that stupid? Or are you really just being that willfully ignorant to what you're supporting? Like, supporting prohibition makes police forces more inefficient. It wastes police time. If a cop is stuck at the side of the road dealing with some young fella because he smells like cannabis, then he's not out there intercepting some young fella who might potentially be carrying a fucking knife. If you've got cops out there who are focused on trying to find a young fella who've got cannabis because it's an easy find, trying to find a knife is hard because you can't smell a knife on people. Do you know what I mean? You can smell cannabis. And if you're a cop and you want to climb up that career ladder, you're going to go for the low-hanging fruit, aren't you? You're going to start picking off the young fellas because, look, that fella's going to have a bit of cannabis. That fella's going to have a bit of cannabis. You can see it, see it in their clothes, see it in what they're wearing and stuff like that. When it comes to knives and knife crime, it's a bit more harder, and it's not as, I suppose it's not as prolific. There's so many more people out there carrying cannabis than there is carrying knives. So therefore, you have to invest less effort for results at the end in terms of like cops and their numbers. So again, if you end the prohibition of cannabis, then surely that is focusing more on tackling knife crimes and violence within London instead of petty fucking cannabis use. But again, look at this fella then, Kit Malthouse. Like, surely, like, you should be fucking doing a bit less abusing of cheeseburgers there, you fat slob, yeah. Because like when it comes to cannabis, like, as that's basically what this guy is doing. He's imposing his morals, his virtues, as to how we should deal with our bodies, and what we should ingest, and what's healthy for us. Well, in fairness, like, this guy looks like he's got a couple of extra chins than he should have. Like imagine if we imposed ourselves on him. Like, and imagine if we said, "Hey, look, you have to go to the gym there now," or we're going to be checking your BMI. That's what they're doing with cannabis. Like, they're controlling our ability of what we ingest into our body, for health reasons. Like, come on. In fairness, like, what's next? Like, as I said, like, are we going to be imposing fucking fat cams on people like Kit Malthouse? Get rid of these extra chins? Sorry, I shouldn't be getting personal on him, but like, in fairness, like, this guy, like, in fairness, he's a policing minister as well. Like, surely he's got a bit of a bias in this, in that, like, John, as I said, numbers. When it comes to numbers, this guy likes his numbers as much as he likes his cheeseburgers. Because numbers to this guy means results, and it means more money in the budget. If you legalize cannabis, that's going to be a lot less numbers there. As I said, if you're going to be more focused on knife crimes, that's a lot less numbers, because there's a lot less people carrying knives than there is carrying cannabis. You keep cannabis illegal, then you've got more people you can focus on. Therefore, like, you got more, like, potential. In this guy's instance, more people can be your statistics. Because that's what you're going to be at the end of the year. You know what I mean? Your statistic at the end of the year to people like Kit Malthouse. We caught so many cannabis users. We caught so many drug users, so many drug dealers. It's like, we caught so much cannabis, so many plants. All statistics, all great day for your man. And, it allows him a nice fat salary so he can go and get even fatter himself. But anyway, Kit Malthouse hitting out, saying that against him. But in fairness, as I said, I think this guy has got a bit of a bias in his opinion, and he's not being very honest. Because really, like, if he was to be a good policing minister, surely you would I'd be able to identify that the massive waste of time that goes into policing the prohibition of cannabis. But yeah, head on over, give that a read if you'd like. That's over on the Mail Online. I'm going to leave that one there because I think I've picked on him enough. Mark Downey says, great to hear you, Martin. Been a while since I tuned in. Hope the epilepsy ain't going to be too much of a hindrance to your life. Fingers crossed anyway, man. Fingers crossed. We'll get the water in there now. We leave the tannoy off for a sec. Iglon. Just going to pop that up there again. Absolute legend. Says, support for that show. Epic, man. Love the support coming in there. Much appreciated. Really do appreciate the support. And John Fingan says, love the way prohibitionists call morphine medication and cannabis drugs. Yeah, it's hypocrisy. Like, it really is, Dahi Goleen says, Priti Patel is pure poisonous. She'd play politics with any issue, rotten to the core. Yeah, I've seen that lady speak on a couple of things, and yeah, she seems like a very distasteful woman. She seems like she just has a very bad character. I don't know, she just always gave off bad vibes. Anytime I've seen her on TV, it's just like, jeez. Hazmat, what's happening over there on Twitch? Hazmat58, the lonesome Twitch watcher. Says they can, it's class and ideology. Insincere ignorance is deadly. John Finnegan as well saying, Scantness, still thinking about how after sampling that red dragon you had yesterday, that the other stuff nearly killed me yesterday, madness. Yeah, Mr. Finnegan, alright, he definitely had his, you reached your limit there yesterday, Mr. Finnegan, didn't you? He had to turn down a few smokes that were going his way and all at one stage. Oshin Max says, Martin, that fella's a bleeding hippo. He's chins of chins. That's what I'm saying, dude. Do you know what I mean? And he's trying to tell us, how to look after our health. Get out of town. It's hilarious. Like, it really is. Scantness there saying, yeah, that was some rough puff. Tasty, but killer on the throats. And High Chair says, Martin, here's one for you, mate. A mate of mine can't have morphine due to allergy. They were given fucking fentanyl in hospital. Yeah, that's not surprising, It's really not surprising that they'll go for fentanyl over cannabis, no bother at all. Because fentanyl is approved, don't you know? Like, there's not a prohibition on fentanyl. It's a controlled drug and all of that. It's like, you're not really allowed to have it, but a chemist can dispense it to you. Like, if your doctor signs you off, and like, a chemist can dispense that stuff to you. It's mad, like, it's just the double standards that are there. But meanwhile, cannabis is a big no-no. And we could really get into it. And I think I've done a show on that in the past, like, as to why that is the case. Because like at the time of cannabis prohibition coming about, and this is just going to be a quick crash on it, like, but when cannabis prohibition started, it was just as alcohol prohibition it was ending. But it was also at a time when drugs like I believe it was aspirin and morphine, they were becoming more available. They were becoming like more available to doctors and stuff like that. So at the same time, then they were removing cannabis away from the doctors. So you have the introduction of a new pain remedy, and it's great. Everybody thinks it's wondrous, and at the same time, you know, they're taking away this cannabis one, and then nobody's none the wiser. So it was kind of it was a very beneficial thing to happen. You know, you had the alcohol prohibition ending. You know, you'd all these alcohol prohibitionists being like, "Oh, geez, what are we going to do now?" Oh yeah, let's go after the cannabis in support of this racist fucking policy because it's great because aren't we all racist anyway, and most of them were at the time anyway. And it's just like, oh yeah, and it's going to benefit the pharmaceutical industry as well because they've got these pain drugs that are going to replace the cannabis pain medication. It's crazy. It is crazy, like, you know, how it all just happened around the same time. John, so some people might say that, oh, he's got a tinfoil hat on, John, because of some of the coincidences that happen. But a lot of times it's like, John, is it coincidence or is there a bit more happening there that we're not being told about or we weren't aware of? So we drive on then, and we go sticking with the UK. Actually, is it the UK? No, actually, we're above an Armagh. I think it's the Armagh, wasn't it? Yeah, Armagh. There we go. We'll pop this up on screen. This is a story of Killy man. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Killy man who attempted to import cannabis from Canada sentenced. But this guy not only attempted to import cannabis from Canada, this guy started growing his own cannabis. This was a very unfortunate story when I read it. This guy had ordered some cannabis from Canada and it was getting sent over, and it was intercepted by the cops. And this guy then, in the meantime, decided to start growing his own cannabis, it seems. And the cops got a warrant to go and raid his property. But like the time that elapsed from the time of the seizure of the packages to the time of the raid was 17 months. So like you would be forgiven for thinking, you know, that was enough time. That like, oh yeah, well look, if you know, if the cops were after getting it, they would have raided me by now. I was mad that it was 17 months after they intercepted the package that the cops actually obtained a warrant and went and raided this individual's house. They found a number of small cannabis plants. So you can see the picture here. Like, I don't know if that'll go big screen. No, it doesn't. See if I can zoom in more on it. You can see in the picture here, like he's got a number of cannabis plants underneath LED lights. And it looks like he's kind of doing like micro grows. Like those plants don't seem to be like too fully grown out. It looks like there's a number of pots as well inside in a larger fabric pot. Which is an interesting looking technique that this guy was employing. But the guy got caught with a couple of cannabis plants anyway, and he was up in court, and he got sentenced to, what did he get sentenced to again? 15 months in prison, but it was suspended for 2 years. And again, I mentioned the fact that earlier on that there's cannabis prohibition, drug prohibition pulls families apart. This guy is a hardworking father, and when he was raided, it was the family home that was raided. It doesn't say here whether the kids were present at the time of the raid on the home, but it is unfortunate that it was a family home that was raided. The guy was given a suspended sentence because he received such a well-written reference, I suppose. What's the statement here? Yeah, said in sentencing Farrance 15 months in prison, suspended for 2 years. Judge Kerr said he took into consideration a written reference from his employer which attests, yeah, that's what the word was, which attests to his good character and being a good worker. So his employer there gave him a really good reference going into court, and for that reason, the guy was able to get a suspended sentence. But again, like, you know, it's like, if you grow cannabis, you're not a bad person. Like, you shouldn't be in court. Yeah, it's fucking legal. Like, but it was made illegal by bad people who should have been in court. To be fair, like, you know, the people who made cannabis illegal, the people who put cannabis prohibition in place, those people should be dragged before a tribunal, and those people should be fucking put behind bars for what they done at that time. Like, even in Ireland at the time when they were debating the Misuse of Drugs Act, it was brought up that, like, hey, is this really the best thing to be doing, to be giving the Gardaí here such powers, you know, arbitrary powers to stop and search people? Is it not a violation of people's privacy and a violation of their rights? And they were all at the time, no, it's for the better good. Sure, drugs are so bad. Didn't you know, drugs are bad, I'm gay. And that was pretty much how the conversation went. Like, there was no science, there was no real evidence there to support the prohibition of drugs at the time. But despite that, we're still tearing families apart. You know, cannabis prohibition is tearing families apart. All right, in this situation, they didn't get torn apart, but potentially, you know, if this guy gets caught with another bit of cannabis again, he could be going to prison for 15 fucking months. That's shit. Like, that is shit. Like, you know, because I know myself, when I consume cannabis, it in fact, I think it actually makes me a better dad at times. You know, it definitely makes me more patient, a bit more attentive, a bit more listening, and all of that. Like, you know, a better listener. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely don't think that a person should be pulled away from their family for growing cannabis or consuming cannabis. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, that's coming out of County Antrim. And we have another story there for you guys. And a second here, we just pop up the video. There we go. Yes. There we go. Sorry, I just had to sort out the audio to make sure that you were going to be able to hear this. There we go. This is our buddy, Mr. Luke Mink Flanagan, and I'm sure many of you have probably already seen this contribution that he made in the at Brussels, over in the European Parliament.
Looking at for the last 25 years, I've been in prison twice in relation to it. I'm rather interested in it. I hear the phrase niche being used. I find it difficult to square the idea that something can be niche while at the same time the word CBD appears more in every shop around Brussels and Ireland than any other three letters at the moment. So niche wouldn't be the word I'd use. I'd use the word ubiquitous at this stage. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you can debate it, but it's certainly not niche. The EU Court of Justice in November 2020 ruled that CBD derived from the plant is not a narcotic and that all sources of cannabidiol are considered EU food products, which is fantastic news. Unfortunately, in Ireland, under current legislation, hemp farmers must destroy the hemp flower. Now, out of an acre, they can get between €450 to €600 for the sheaves or the shives. They can get €750 per acre for the seeds and up to €1,600 per acre for the leaves and flowers. The latter two, at the moment, they have to destroy. Now, I'll give you a quote from the Hemp Federation of Ireland. There is an extraordinary incoherence between the guidance we receive about EU regulations of our industry from Irish authorities and the information coming directly from Brussels. In the resulting confusion, Ireland's hemp industry is unable to function and is being prevented from participating alongside EU industry colleagues in the rapid development and expansion of the EU sector. They have tried exhaustively to explain the laws, rules and regulations to the Irish authorities, but with their best efforts, unfortunately, they have come to nothing. A hemp farmer is dealing with the medicine regulator, the HPRA, Department of Health and Agriculture, the Gardaí Síochána, Food Safety Authority and the HSE. It is a total and utter mess. So, you call it a niche. I would say there's massive potential for it to be anything but a niche. There are figures out there of up to €350 billion can be taken from this industry. People say hemp and cannabis are different. They're about as different as an aubergine and an eggplant. You're just using a different name for the same thing. It is based on morals. It is based on telling you what to do with your mind and your body. And it has absolutely nothing to do with science. That's why I went to prison on 2 occasions for it, because I actually think it is ridiculous that anyone should tell me or anyone else what I should do with my body. Even worse, the biggest downside of this is somehow this has sullied the name of a phenomenal plant with massive environmental benefits. In many different areas we can use this product. We need to change our attitude to this. So what I would ask here today, and I will ask at the coordinators meeting later, is that we invite experts from industry in to discuss this. Because instead of the gangsters of the world benefiting from this, I would like to see the farmers of my town, the farmers of Ireland and the farmers of Europe benefited. Because I am sick and tired of people being shot dead over this plant. I would like to see towns and villages grow and benefit from this instead of suffering from what is an absolutely ridiculous and outdated law. Prohibition didn't work with alcohol, it won't work with cannabis, and I for one will continue to use it regardless of what the law is. The law is an ass.
The law is an ass. Here. Fucking is.
This is
it is an ass, and it doesn't have to be an ass. That's the thing. I want to have respect for the law. So the only law I fucking really break is consumption of cannabis or possession of cannabis, and the cultivation as well publicly. That's part of civil disobedience, you know, and all that. But yes, Luke Ming Flanagan there, guys, giving a hell over in Brussels, you know, really flying the flag for the cannabis industry. Fair play to him for speaking up as he did. I look forward to seeing more contributions like that from Luke Ming Flanagan over there in the European Parliament. He's an MEP here from Ireland, and he's a great one as well, in fairness. He's done some great things over there for the agriculture, for the what was it called? The CAP, is it? The CAP program, the Common Agricultural Program. Again, I'm completely out of the loop on that, like, but he's done some great work over there. But it looks like he's getting set now to really take the bull by the horns there, for the cannabis industry at the European level. So I hope he is successful in doing so. Again, if you haven't seen that in the past, Ming has been on as a guest of the show. So if you haven't seen that already, which I'd imagine a lot of you already have, do go check that out. He talks about, you know, those times he was in prison and all of that, about his dad going and paying his fine for him without him knowing, because he wasn't going to go and pay it. He was willing to go to prison. I did take a lot of my inspiration from Luke Ming Flanagan's actions in the past. His documentary, Citizen Ming, The Life and Crimes of Citizen Ming. Excellent documentary, and certainly inspired me. And I was always chomping at the bit to get out there and do more things like that, and to really, you know, to pick the torch up, I suppose, you know, to continue where Ming left off. And I suppose over the last 2 years, I've really been doing that. Before that, I think I've been kind of restrained. I've been always trying to. People have been kind of holding me. Not civil disobedience. Not civil disobedience. But no, it's just you have to, like, you really have to know at this stage. The law is an ass. So there we go. Great contribution made at the European level.
Really important topic. It's something.
Luke Ming Flanagan. Oh, excuse me. And yeah, that is all of it so for today. Oh, actually, almost forgot, guys. The Patients for Safe Access, June 11th, coming up. There's going to be the Patients for Safe Access conference. It's going to include a number of speakers. Unfortunately, we're not going to have Jen Devlin there speaking now, as she's taken a step back from her activist contributions to cannabis activism. But we will have some other great speakers there lined up on the day. And I have to give a shout out as well to Olio, who have sponsored the the conference as well, and have got behind the Patients for Safe Access. Olio are an approved supplier of medical cannabis to the Irish market. So if you get approved for medical cannabis in Ireland, you can get a medical cannabis vaporizer, or as Olio are calling it, an inhaler, which you can use to vaporize your cannabis flowers. And I think they're going to be coming up with an attachment as well for oils in the not too distant future. I have the vape, it's over there on the windowsill. Too far away for me to go get it now, but I have to give them a shout out as well, and a big thanks for sponsoring the Patients for Safe Access and supporting the conference there. It's really helped to cover the cost there of the conference, so big thanks to them. And I hope, John, that the Medical Cannabis Access Program is widened up so more patients can access products like oleos. Yeah, June 11th, Patients for Safe Access. That's above the Sugar Club. Pop them up there, actually. Patients. And all these things are shadow banned, are they? From PFSA and I want to come up like. There we go. There it is. National Conference, June 11th, Sugar Club, Dublin. Tickets €10, and you can get them over on eventbrite.co.uk. Again, it's great that Olio sponsored the conference, and that helped cover the costs. We did put the €10 ticket price there as a way to help cover the costs also. But now that as they have been covered, I don't think the guys will have a problem with me saying that if anybody out there, if the €10 cost of a ticket is anyway a barrier of you attending, then just message us, and we'll have no problem at all with arranging a ticket free of charge there for you. That was set up as a way in which to just make sure that not everybody just goes on and gets tickets on Eventbrite. Say that they come and they won't come. So by putting the €10 up there, just kind of is a small way in which we could kind of cover the cost, but also it's a way in which to ensure that people who want a ticket will actually get a ticket. So if you're out there and if you want a ticket and the €10 cost is a barrier at all, then do message us and we will give you a ticket free of charge. That is no problem at all for us. That's 11th of June, guys. I hope you got that in your calendar, and it should be an interesting one. And hopefully I'll be able to stream live from Martin's World, or maybe the Patients for Safe Access will do something themselves live on the day. But yeah, I should be able to do something anyway. I don't think I've talked to the lads about going live on Martin's World, but sure, should be fine. We'll see what they say. I'll be meeting with them on Friday anyway. Yeah, that's all of the news then for today anyway that I have lined up. What's going on out there with everybody in the hot box? I'm going to grind up one more Blaze in their bowl and we'll call it a day then. Mr. Cav says I've had my differences, but he definitely was inspirational. An inspiration, sorry. Talking about Mr. Ming there, yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah. You're saying you had your differences. Yeah, I've had a few people kind of approach me there, especially above in Dublin there the last day when Ming was speaking, and they're like, yeah, how can you support that fella? He's what did they say? He's a traitor. He's just like, yeah, but it's just like, he's still supporting the cause. He's still an ally. Just like, we can't judge everybody by whatever. Like, I've said it about Ming. I said it to him as well during the interview. Like, you did what you did for your career, like, and it was the right call. It's showing it now, like it was the right call he made at the time, not to be that single issue around cannabis, and in fact to let the cannabis thing take the back seat, because he knew, realistically at the time, political will wasn't there. He would have been doing pretty much like going to jail a couple of more times if he was to continue the cannabis activism then at the time. It's great now he's positioned himself, the way in which he did. He was first a TD, put forward a bill, got the conversation going. Unfortunately, it fell flat in his face. And now he's at the European level and still doing his thing. So as I say, he did turn his back for the time being, but he made the right call. It wasn't a permanent turn his back. He had to just put that issue aside. Went to save the bogs, wasn't it, for a while, getting out there fighting for the turf cutting and all of that stuff, like, so fair play to him. Serenable says, "Hi Martin, how's the bench warrant going?" Still haven't caught up with me yet. Anyway, yeah, I'm not too sure what the crack is there. Like, there's two cops now looking for me, and they both have my number. Like, you know, they both have my email and whatever. You know, they can get in contact with me if they want me. But they haven't. I don't know what the story is like. So I don't know what they haven't. I don't know what they've lined up for me. But no, it should be an interesting one. I just hope I don't have any fucking seizures because of it. And if I do, and if I kick the bucket, guys, then I hope some of you go and fly the flag afterwards and just be like, that's bullshit. Like, prohibition, kill this guy. And that's what it will be. Like, it'll be prohibition that'll fucking do me in if that was the case. Like. Yeah, not a bother. Serenable says, "Sorry, Martin, my battery's running low, so I hope you answer and look back at the review." Not a bother at all. Hopefully you caught that there before anything went dead. Diagonine says, "Play the ball and not the man." John Finian says, "I know exactly who said that to you, Martin, because I had the same conversation with him." Yeah, that's it. Like, you know, because I kind of, and to be honest, I did feel like that initially. Initially, I was just kind of like, fucking hell, he's just like, after turning his back on us, he's not talking about cannabis anymore. He's all about the bog and stuff like that at the time. But again, like, he made the right call at the time, and then looking at it now, I was wrong for judging him at the time for doing what he did. Like, it's just because, you know, I was just passionate about the cannabis thing, I suppose. Whew. Tasty. So that's Star Dog. Nice one, mister. There's R420. Star Dog CBD, of course, yeah. Mr. Finnegan here is also saying, "Well, we're watching that documentary, although his bogweed didn't look great." It's what he did with it, though. Like, it didn't matter what it looked like. It's what he did with it. It was the symbolic joints to the things. November, remember the 5th of November, wasn't it? Yeah, the 5th of November. That was the National Legalized Cannabis Day, which we reenacted there last year, and which we'll probably reenact again maybe later this year if cannabis is still illegal here. But yeah, and if it's legal, well, maybe we'll reenact it again anyway. But yeah, 5th of November. But yeah, that's what he did with his bogweed from that documentary, The Life and Crimes of Citizen Ming. He used the bogweed to roll up those joints and sent it to the politicians. Apparently it was a lot of leaf and stuff, like, you know. I sent better joints, like, not bragging or anything, like, you know, not bragging or anything. I sent the boys like some nice sugar leaf, like I wasn't growing no bogweed. Got good high quality indoor grown by a herbal scientist, highly qualified. No complaints yet anyway. Pack up another bowl here. Gotta get your greens in you. Gonna hit the sauna there in a little while, I reckon. So we're gonna get nice and baked there before we hit the sauna. Anybody else out there like to do that? Get nice and high before going down and chilling in the sauna in the steam room. Doing a bit of swimming as well, obviously. Swimming is fucking epic when you're nice and high. Stick on the goggles and just doing lens there to bait the band. Lose count. Oil towards me, life's too short. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Like that's kind of how my feeling towards things. Like, and if you got time to waste on hating somebody, it's just like, you must really like that person that you're hating on, like, because you're wasting precious time on them. Like life's too short to be wasting time on people you hate. Like, focus on the positive shit in life. Like, you know, it's like life's too short. Like, people holding grudges and all of this shit. Like build a bridge and get the fuck over it, man. It's like, you ain't gonna associate with somebody anymore. Just don't associate with them. Just get on. Like, some people there and they be all sour about shit. And it's just like, oh man, life's too short. Life's too short to be locking people up for a plant. God damn it, 5 days of my life spent in Cork fucking prison and I'm never going to get back. For fucking, not even just for a plant, for not paying fines for the plant. And I'll continue to not pay fines for the plant. They want me to go back up there for a couple of days again. It'll be an interesting one. I think Mr. John O'Regan, myself, Mr. John O'Regan, next Irish hunger strikers. possibly the next Irish hunger strikers. Let's blaze up that never happens. Let's blaze up that Gino publishes a fucking epic bill and just for some crazy reason the Irish government supports it and cannabis is legalized within the next 12 months. Let's blaze to that. Yeah, well spotted there, TG. TG spotting the t-shirt there being worn by Ming Joy Division. Ain't I know some bed, Mr. Finnegan. that's an LED, man. That's like an LED. And I'm just naturally tan, baby. Oh, better move that bong there. Oh shit, sorry to hear that, Sir Annabelle. Just reading there, dealing with the court at the moment because of weed. 9 grams. He's trying to do me as extra charge. What do you mean by he's trying to do you as an extra charge? Is like, do you mean like dealing, sale and supply? Like, did you have 9 grams in like 3 gram bags? That shit, man. Like, that sucks because like if you ever get caught like 3 gram bags, let's say, if that was the case, I've been in situations where I've gone to fucking get weed and you go to pick up an ounce and dude's like, ah shit man, I don't have an ounce, but look, there's 4 quarters there, take them. Like you for real, like, you give me 4 fucking quarters, you want me to carry 4 quarters on? Like, you're some langer. Like, seriously, like, but yeah, I've met langer dealers like that before, and they would do that, so that would suck. And it's definitely a plausible story for a judge to believe, but would they believe it? Well, hopefully it goes your way anyway, Mr. Annabelle. And like, keep me posted, guys. Anybody out there, if anybody out there wants to get in touch with me and share their story, I'm more than happy to take time to sit down with anybody. We can open up the Zoom, have a chat. I can cover up your video afterwards. It'd be great to be able to see as I talk to you. You don't have to turn around. It's not essential. But if we were to do something, I'd love to be talking with people who are currently actively going through court cases, who have been through court cases. If you've got old historic ones, and you still got PTSD from and shit like that from it, get in touch with me. I'm more than happily. I'd like to put together maybe kind of a playlist, or a series of interviews with people who've been affected by prohibition, directly affected by prohibition. You've been dealt with by the authorities. I'd really like to hear from people like that. Been listening to I listened to some of the stuff by the Tunaris, and I've been listening to the stuff by Lynn Rowan. But it seems like there's a very, I don't know, it's just they're good podcasts and all of that, like, but it just seems like you're getting very skewed in perspective of drugs. Like, there's 1 or 2 of them there now, like last night, and like they're the boys, and they're like, yeah, I started with the cannabis and then I went on to the gear. It's just like, stop, man, stop. It's like this dude obviously had other problems, but they don't really get they do kind of get to that, like, but I don't know, man. I just thought it was, yeah, I definitely like to paint a different picture of people anyway being criminalized for cannabis. Dahi Golan says funniest bit was him trying to get into the radio station. Hilarious. That's right. Actually, they wouldn't let him in during the run up to the election, at RT. Forgot that actually. Forgot that happened in it. John Finian says, "How much do you get if you rat and Martin to the confidential guard line asking for a fent?" John, you have to wait until I get bigger, right? I have to wait until I get, like, you know, maybe halfway to the Kinahan level, and maybe you might get $1 million or so from me. Like, right now, I don't know. I don't even think you get €50 from me at the moment. Like, I'd nearly turn myself in if I thought I'd get enough. Get the family sorted, you know. Look after the kids. Wouldn't mind doing a couple of years. Like, probably earn more doing it that way anyway than I would if I was to work an honest job out here. Unless legalize cannabis. At Lawn Records, amen, brother. Star Dog, says Mr. Finnegan. You know all about Star Dog, Mr. Finnegan. Right. So I think we'll start leaving it there. We'll give it a couple of seconds, see if there's any more comments coming in. I think I might pack up one more bowl, and then we will shut her down. Civil disobedience at its best here on the 420 news, as we do. But guys, to everybody who has hung with me until now, nice one, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the news. To everybody in the hot box, nice one for chit chatting with me. I always enjoy the crack and the banter there, and it's always good to see the community, guys. If you want to continue as well, you know, always remember to mention this is the the hot box. There's a 24/7 hot box over on Telegram. There's a link in the description of the show. At least there should be a link in the description of the show. You click that link and you can join our Telegram group, and it's just a continuation of the hot box. Just talking shit for, you know, 24/7. Not really talking shit. Everybody comes in, just says hi. There's a very nice friendly community there. Everybody's like just kind of talking, you know, sharing their own experiences. You know, taking a picture of where they're smoking today or something like that. Sharing what they're smoking today. Taking pictures of their plants, and you know, our buddy Bobby there shares these lovely photos there of his early morning starts over in New York, I believe it is, isn't it? And there's some lovely photos there. I love that early morning sky. You know, you get that what is the early red sky in the morning, the shepherd's red sky at night is a shepherd's delight. Red sky in the morning is a shepherd's warning. But yeah, that red sky in the morning. Bobby, I didn't see Bobby out there actually. He always misses the live shows. He do always on about that in the hot box as well. Nice one, at Lone Records. Appreciate it. Right, this is the last bowl, and we're going to say goodbye. Disobedience, our final protest of the day. Get evicted from the studio if we overstay our welcome. Crazy to think, you know, for so many years we've had a prohibition that's tried to prevent just that, what I just did there, you know, the consumption of cannabis, and how many lives have been ruined as a result of that. You know, how many people have spent how many years behind bars. Like, if you accumulated all of the time spent by people behind bars for cannabis, like, how much time would you accumulate? Like, how many years, how many lifetimes could a person live by the time spent behind bars for cannabis, you know? And I'm talking all sorts of cannabis, not just personal possession, talking about like small dealers, big dealers, you know, international importers, like all cannabis related dealing. Like, I'd imagine you'd live many lifetimes, many hundreds of lifetimes, possibly thousands of lifetimes. I would say actually. It'd be a fair stretch to imagine, say a nation, even say tens of thousands of lifetimes, would you? Thinking about America, you know, and how they lock people up, you know, 3 strikes, you're getting like 10 years, 20 years and shit like that. Probably somebody already after working that number out, actually. We'll look it up and we'll go find it. Before we go then, and we leave on this one for anybody who has still stuck around with us. Our buddy Canaman, Mr. Canaman, I was, before I had those fucking status epilepticus thing that took me out there for that while, I was, after agreeing that I would be playing some Canaman's stuff. So I'm going to continue that now on today's show. So we're going to close out with some Canaman stuff. So we're going. I believe last day we got on to skit 2. We open this up here now again. On episode 1. Let's do episode 2.
Sir, we seem to have lost him. How could you lose him? He's dressed in all green, for God's sakes. The information he has stolen is extremely important. Do not let him leave with it. What is it that makes you important? Hey dude, there's like no smoking in a public building. Wait, I can smell something. It smells like his dog stick. Ah, shit. I better get out of here. I see you, Canaman. There's like no firing guns in a public building. I'll get you, Canaman. Just you see if I don't. Those big pharma bastards. I knew they were up to something, but exactly what, I'm not sure. But you'll tell me.
How's it going over there, Batman?
Donny, my name's Canaman. We've been friends for years. Give you that joint.
Canaman, Batman. You're the fucking same to me.
Okay, slightly racist. Right then. Let's have a look at what's on you. Wait, what the fuck? Objective. Cure and genetically analyze all cannabis domesticates. Endgame. Cure patents for all cannabis domesticates. Destroy all small-scale growers. Monopolize all cannabis medicine by 2025. Those dirty bastards. Can't allow this to happen. I need to destroy that file. Let there be light. Going to need to get properly equipped. Ninja Death Stars to throw at those pharma agents. Gold Seal Squidgy Black. Soap Bar C4. Pure and explosive impact to this. And for a covert appearance, my Canaman Ninja Stealth Suit. Ah, shit. How am I meant to smoke these? Right, time to get to work. Yeah, this doesn't look safe. Right, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Don't let down. Okay, here we go. Okay, don't let down. Shit. Didn't have that curry last night. Oh, fuck. Come on. Almost there. Here we go. Doing a good job. Here. Don't let down. Oh, my stomach. Ah, shit. I think it's leaking out. I think it's leaking. Stay clenched. Stay clenched. Almost there. Ah, thank fuck. Anybody home?
The results are in. Got your baby.
I honestly cannot believe that.
Ugh. Yeah, pay attention. You should just stay with her. Ah. Insecure security. Right, Unit 4. Unit 4. There it is. Shit, someone's coming. And then the doctor said because it wouldn't stop bleeding, I had to chop it off. And that's what they did.
That's Christ, George. Your wife okay? She must be devastated.
Right, let's get started.
Uploading. Program activated.
Coronavirus.
Excellent. Now it's time to plant some canna explosives and get the hell out of here. Shit. Come on, Jennifer, can't we talk about something else?
That's Christ. Your wife's gonna go through a
Set it to 4 minutes 20. That'll give me enough time to get out of here.
Set up and delivery.
Time to say goodnight, fuckers. In 5, 4. Oh, I can't wait. Ah, finally. Good to see the big pharma building go up in flames. Yeah, I tell you, the big pharma building's next door, mate.
Hey, Canna man. Excellent. So there we go, guys. Close out there with Canna man. So to everybody who's stuck around till now, nice one to everybody for sticking around. MB Sanchez, who just dropped in, says, "Been missing you, Martin." Says, "How goes the battle in Ireland these days?" Battle's going good. Very optimistic that we're definitely nearing a day of change. We mentioned there earlier on in the news of a potential change that's going to be happening because of a court case that's happening with the CBD cafe relief. So if they win their case, then they're going to have to rewrite the laws to accommodate for CBD cannabis flowers, which is going to be a nightmare to police for a Gardaí. So that's going to be a big problem for them. So that's going to be a big change if that happens. And also we have a bill going forward by Gino Kenny. So if these two things kind of happen side by side, then it's a very good opportunity there, definitely coming down the road for Ireland. In terms of the battle for legalization and the ending of cannabis prohibition over here. Yeah, I haven't been on as much. I don't know if you caught the last show last week, but I announced there that I'm just going to be doing the one stream a week on the Wednesdays at 4:20, just until I get back on my feet. Epilepsy fucking caught me by surprise there a couple of weeks ago. Gave me a bit of a scare, and now, since then I've been just kind of focusing on my health, taking it easy, and as part of that, I think one stream a week is all I'm allowed to do for a while. It's all I'm allowing myself to do for a while, but once I feel a bit more up to it, I'll definitely get back to doing a bit more, but until then, just one 420 news a week anyway is all we're going to be doing for now. Good seeing the hot box there again anyway, MB Sanchez, and definitely look forward to catching more of the Growcast, and yes, great old podcast over there. So guys, check that out as well, Growcast, if you haven't already done so. I've been on over there myself with Jordan. Didn't catch yourself, but yes, I've caught a couple of episodes there now with yourselves, and yeah, great old podcast. Who else out there? Temple Grower says good advice. John Phantom, thanks Martin. Stay high, guys. John Finnegan says Sloan, buddy. Shalom, lad, and yes, to everybody else, bye. Catch you all later.